Hi there, and welcome to the show. I am so literally over the moon excited to have with us today's guest, Gail Lynn. Gail is a renowned visionary, inventor, and pioneer in the realm of frequency healing, celebrated for her groundbreaking creation, the Harmonic Egg. She went on to also create the Ellipse and the Lift, these innovative sound and light frequency chambers designed with the aim of fostering holistic healing and wellness, stands as a testament to Gail's visionary approach to promoting mental health, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. She is also the author of Unlocking the Ancient Secrets to Healing: Why Science is Looking to the Past for the Future Medicine. Welcome to the show, Gail.
Thank you. This is very exciting. We've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm really happy to be here.
I know. I'm so happy that the universe finally brought us together after, let's see, power outages and life emergencies. And here we are. And we were just talking about how right now there's so much going on in the energies with the solar flares. And so, what a great day to be talking about everything that we're talking about with light energy and healing and frequency. But before we totally dive into all the good stuff, I really want you to come back to that place that started your journey.
Yeah, I struggle with this every day. I mean, even this morning I woke up, I'm like, what am I doing here? Why was I chosen to do this? And why was this journey I've been on so interesting and divinely ordained to put me where I am today? So I started out as an engineer in automotive in the Detroit area where I grew up. Then I knew there was more to life than Henry Ford in the automotive industry. So I moved to the big old state of Texas and got into the good old boys network of telecommunications.
Oh my
And
God.
I went from everything was tangible. Like I could look inside of a car and go, oh, I designed those switches, or I did the CAD drawings on that wire harness. And then I go into telecom where everything's in the cloud. What's the cloud? You know? And so I just it was so hard for me to understand when I dial my phone and it goes to someone else's phone and rings and they answer. It's in the cloud. Well, what's happening in the cloud? There's nothing tangible about it. So that was really funny that I had to deal with that. And then ended up in Hollywood for all weird, strange reasons. I see the puzzle pieces coming together now that I've just put out another film. But I went through this stuff where I was trying to prove myself in automotive and a man's world. So I worked extra hard. Then the Good Old Boys Network in Texas and telecom, and then Hollywood. And I loved being in Hollywood, but it's a very cutthroat business. And so by the time the film was over, 7 years of making a film with Elvis Presley's stepbrother of all people, I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I had migraine headaches for 23 years. I had cystic acne. My hair was falling out. I went to the doctor and they said, you have severe cardiovascular stress. You're on the verge of an instant heart attack. And just so many things. I had insomnia and I thought, I've got to make some changes. But I was good at project management. I was good at operations. I was good at running businesses. I came in under budget. I came in on time. And I thought that was my God given gift. I thought that's what the universe wants me to do. And then the universe says, oh no, we're going to just pull the rug out from under you. We're going to take away your identity and we're going to strip you of everything you've ever known. And we're going to put you in the wellness industry.
Hmm.
I said, oh no, this is not happening. I can't do this. I hate feet. I don't want to be around people's feet. That was the first thing that I said. I'm like,
You
I
said I
hate
hate
feet.
feet.
I hate feet.
I love this. That's what you think of, health and wellness. That does not even come into
I
my
hate
mind when
feet.
I think health and wellness.
Because I remember I'm like, I want people to take their shoes off if they come into my center. And I hate feet. And I don't want to be smelling smelly feet. And it was so weird how these just random thoughts come in. I'm like, I hate feet. So it was just funny. But I knew I had to make some changes. And I did resist it for a long time. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then it was like a bad country song. I lost my dog, I lost my house, I lost my job, everything. But I needed to be stripped of my entire identity, my ego, in order to do this with humility. And in order to create a device that's helping people to heal at such a cellular level, I do see how much of a blessing it was. It wasn't easy, but when you look back and you see how far you've come, it was easy. If that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And I know so many people are like, yeah, but when you're in it, woo, are you in it? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. So, because that's a lot. I mean, to go through all of that, to here you are thriving. Now, suddenly you're on the verge of a cardiac event, and then you're basically stripped down naked and being reborn again.
Correct. Yep.
So then take me, because I believe it was 2010 when you opened up your first light and sound therapy in Denver, Colorado, being scared of feet,
Absolutely.
not wanting anything to do
Scared
with
of feet.
feet. What profound moment brought you to say, that's what I'm going to do?
I think it was when I flew to Arizona to get into these light boxes. That's what I ended up purchasing before the egg. And in one session, after doing a heart rate variability test, my cardiovascular stress was normalized. And as an engineer, how do you put that into your brain? I didn't take any pills, I didn't get any surgeries, I didn't have any shots, and all of a sudden, things were normal. And so I had to go ahead and research this because in my engineering mind, I couldn't figure out how does this fit. I was lying in this box. It was some beautiful music playing. I'm looking up at a light bulb that's painted like rainbow colors. There's no way anything could happen. That that doesn't compute. And I'm a huge skeptic. So, convince me that this worked. Maybe it was because I was in Arizona and I was on a little weekend vacation, but all that didn't just go away because I went to Arizona. So I said, all right, this is something I want to do. But I also noticed that the biggest thing that was plaguing me was migraine headaches. And you never knew when you were going to get a migraine. All of a sudden, I would have like losing my peripheral vision, and I'd be in a grocery store. There goes the grocery cart. I got to get home. I'd be in a meeting in corporate America, and I just have to get up and walk out. And everybody that was on my team knew, oh, Gail must be getting a migraine. It was a horrible way to live. I never knew when it was going to sneak up on you. And anybody who suffers from migraines, my heart goes out to you because it is awful. And so that was the biggest thing. After the light box session, I had a migraine, but it was less intense and it lasted 5 hours less than normal. That's amazing to me. And so we all have things that plague us. So if you were to say to somebody today, what do you want to heal in your life? Everybody's going to have the first thing that comes in their mind. And mine was the migraines. They really took away a lot of my life and my joy because I lived in fear of them. And so after a number of sessions then in the light box, I haven't had a migraine for over 10 years, which is such a miracle. And doctors don't know what they're from because they could be an imbalance in your nervous system. It could be, a dysautonomia. You're stuck in fight or flight. It could be parasites. It could be heavy metals. It could be an Epstein-Barr Lyme disease type virus in the body causing the migraines. And so it's so hard to detect what their root cause is that it was such a miracle to me to be able to have have some help. So I decided I'm going to open up a center, 2010, Denver, Colorado. And so this was my 40th birthday present to myself. I'm going to create a business. I'm going to grow something for me. It's time for me to take my life back, do something for me, empower myself, right?
Right.
And do this. Unfortunately, the first client that I had was a little boy who had his third bout of brain cancer. And I said, you know what, God, source, I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to sign up to see children die and to have all these conditions. And he was brought in with his mom, and she was already kind of giving up. And we did some sessions on him. It really seemed to help him. Even his grandmother came in and she said he's now able to eat. He's not asking for Tylenol all the time. He's doing well. But yet the family knew that it was still the end. And it hit me really hard in December. He came in October, and in December he passed away. And I told my mentor, I'm like, I didn't sign up for this, you know? I'll start crying.
Right.
I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to do this. And he said, if you don't help people, who's going to? There's not a lot of things that people can get help with. And we're vibrational beings of light and sound from source, from God, from our creator. We need to be healing with sound and light. And I said, well, that's true, but I don't think I have the wherewithal to do this. And so time and time again, people were coming in, help me, help me. I have this, I have that. And I became a researcher, a private investigator, because people would come in and say, I've got this and I'm on this med, and I'm on this and doing this and doing that. And I was able to put things together and just weave it all together. And I could say, okay, this and this equals this. This med is depleting you of this mineral. Therefore, this is the side effect, and this is the symptom that you have. And they would say, how come my doctor hasn't been able to tell me? I said, I don't know. So it was about educating people. And it was about bringing people in to start to take back their power, listen to their body, start to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and not have to depend on someone else to tell them what's wrong with them. And it was just a beautiful thing that I was able to almost project manage a lot of these, so the gift of project management was always there, but it transferred over to doing this and to helping people to really figure out what's wrong, what's the root cause. Because if you're not hitting the root cause, then you're just getting worse and worse and worse. And so I really wanted people to find out that root cause.
It's so powerful though. So at this time, when you were in Denver doing this, what were you utilizing for the technology? I love that you're bringing together, especially for so many skeptics out there, right? And even though we're in the industry, like I always still have a skeptical side to myself. And I love that side to myself because, like you, that's what's going to push us to continue to get answer after answer to be able to help everyone else get those answers that they're to the skeptics out there. So what were you using at that time? Because this was pre harmonic egg time.
So it was a rectangular box, almost looked
Mm-hmm.
like a coffin. People actually said, I don't want to go in there. It feels like, looks like a coffin. There was a light bulb that had paint. It was painted and it was rainbow colored. And then there was a 4-inch foam pad with car speakers underneath. And this was the technology that I had some success with. But I was realizing that a lot of people laying flat on their back were having issues when they got up, their back would hurt, and I would have to help them get up. And then the nervous system is a very complicated system. And the music that I was using in the Lightbox was MP3 files, not WAV files. So they were compressed. So when I look at it from binary code, I'm thinking, okay, ones and zeros, zeros and ones. The nervous system is saying, okay, that's a one, that's a zero. Wait, what was that? Was that a one or a zero? And so people were getting agitated doing the sessions. And I think the nervous system was just confused. What am I listening to? What's happening? And trying to decipher what the music was. So I realized pretty quickly that I needed to use the full expression of the music. So not a compressed MP3 file, but a WAV file. And it immediately saw people not being agitated and irritated during the sessions. So I think that foam pad also was distorting some of the sound. So then when I created the egg, I knew it needed to have a reclining chair in there so people could just pop up and get out. And it needed to have no speakers, the speakers weren't being blocked by any kind of material. So it's just a full expression. So in the parabola of the egg, I put the speakers and that sound just spirals around you. And I hired a sound engineer and a light engineer to say, okay, what kind of light am I going to use in this cubic airspace of a sacred geometric egg? And what sound system? I didn't want to use some cheap automotive speakers, but I wanted to use something that had the baffles and the right cubic airspace. So using all that engineering knowledge and how are you going to build a large wooden egg? So bringing that together to help people heal with something that where life came from. In the rectangular box, I found that it was very good for environmental detoxing and physical. I don't want to say the word healing, but so helping them with the physical
Mm-hmm.
ailments and then with the environmental, but it wasn't touching the emotional. I wanted to touch the emotional because most disease is emotional and we suppress our emotions and then it creates a disease. So how can I get people to really express the emotions and let it go. So putting them in this egg, it seemed like that brought up emotional trauma and it would clear it at a cellular level. And then I was finding people had more intuition. They were manifesting like crazy and they were just clearing, I think, the garbage that prevents us from being empowered. All that trauma, all the garbage we carry around on our back, it was clearing it. It was taking the monkey off their back and they were able to connect to their higher self and really find their true passion, their purpose, and feel, I don't want to say entitled, feel like they deserved what they came here to do.
That sounds amazing. So, how many years did it take you to design, map out, and make the harmonic egg?
So it started to come through pretty quickly because I would hear clients say, oh, I don't like this about this. I don't like this about the light box. I don't like this. So it started to come through pretty quickly. In my engineering mind, I'm like, okay, here's the design requirements. But one day, a friend of mine came into the center and I said, I think I need to build this large wooden egg. And he said, can you draw it? I said, sure. I've got a CAD background. I've got an engineering background and just like doop, 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 doop. And I drew it. He said, you just drew this just now. I said, yeah, I mean, it's been percolating in my head for a long time. So I drew it in 2016 and then 2017. It took us about a year, he and I, to build it in one of the rooms of my center. And then it was a reality. It was so crazy because it was still made out of cheap material because I didn't want to
Hmm.
waste a bunch of money if it wasn't going to work. And we started to bring in doctors and healers and shamans to try it and say, okay, what do you think? Can we do this 2 days in a row? They're like, oh no, 2 days in a row, that's too much. Can we do it for an hour? That's a little too much. It's pretty intense. So we started to test it for 6 months. We said, okay, 3 days in a row is too much. 2 days in a row is too much. One day, and then let's skip 3 days and then do it again. So we came up with a protocol that was one session every 5 to 7 days for 50 minutes, 40 minutes of music, 10 minutes of silence. That's what tested to be the ideal. Now, many people do energy medicine and they do too much. So when you start to put too much energy of anything in the body starts to reject it and then it starts to reverse the benefits of it. So you want to just do enough and then you want to let the body digest it and integrate. And so a lot of testing went into like how often, how long, how is the integration period? And we'll find if you're a retired school teacher and you've got a pretty chill life and not a lot of stress, a session might last you for a month. Now, for me, I think it lasts about an hour. I do it every week. I don't overdo it, but
Hmm.
I'm supporting 150 center owners now, and there's eggs in 12 countries now. And I'm really trying. I just put out a new documentary to try to get people to understand sound and light therapy, but also to be more kind and to be more loving.
First of all, congratulations, because this is amazing that you started in basically what sounds like a coffin into an egg. And now I want you to describe because you have two others that you have the lift. What's the other one called?
So the Ellipse is really the egg 2.0. So it's a different door design for the egg. So it's really the egg and the lift. The lift is a
Okay.
light capsule that people can use for their home and they can go in it every day. I have a lift at my house and I have an egg at my house. The lift for me is a great way to just sit in there and meditate every morning. I take my journal and I meditate in the morning, sit in there for 10 or 15 minutes, and it's brilliant. You can do that every day. I created that during the pandemic because people were afraid to come out, but they still wanted to get their egg sessions.
Hmm.
And not many people can put a 11-foot by 11-foot by 7-foot large wooden egg in their home,
Right.
but they can put a 48-inch diameter light capsule with the same music. We use the same lights and we have the sacred geometry, the
Hmm.
wooden oak that lines it. So I created that during the pandemic so people could have something in their home and that they could feel they could still do their self-care because a lot of the doctors and healers closed.
Right. So for that one, the cylinder one, now that one looked like it sort of opened, and then I saw a picture. Someone was sitting, probably like cross-legged Indian style in it. Is that what you do? in that one?
My sister has a pillow in there and she goes in a fetal position.
Oh,
Some friends of mine that bought one, they put a chair inside, almost
okay.
like a recliner chair they put inside. They don't recline in there, but they put a big poofy chair in there.
Ooh.
And some people would just sit on a bench. I just sit cross-legged in,
Mm-hmm.
the Indian style. I sit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's go to egg one and then egg 2.0. So egg one has what style chair in there, or are we laying down?
So the same chair, the same lights, the same speakers. What happened was we started to see a lot of people with wheelchairs. So the egg one had a sliding door and it was really hard for a person with a wheelchair to get in. So now egg two, the doors just open like closet doors and they can roll right up. And if they can
That
get
makes
out of their wheelchair, they can get in there. So it's just a different door design.
okay. In egg two, when I saw a picture, it looked like there could have been a massage table in there. Or was I just
It's
like
not that big.
imagining?
Yeah, the chair reclines to almost an inversion. So it took
Okay.
me like 9 chairs to find it. People don't realize how difficult it is to find a chair that'll fit inside of a large wooden egg and still recline and still serve like a 7-foot person.
Right.
And so that chair does almost lay flat. And then once the footrest comes out, you're almost can be in an inversion. You don't have to lean that far back, but you
Okay.
can. And a lot of
Um,
my yoga teachers and students, they want to be inverted.
Almost like a zero gravity kind of chair.
It is, yeah. Zero gravity is your feet at the level of your heart or above. So it is a
Okay.
zero gravity chair. Yeah.
How exciting. So tell me now, because so it sounds like people can use these professionally in their doctor's office, in their wellness spas, but you're also mentioning that someone we could have them at home. So
Hmm.
you do
I have
you
one in my home.
okay, so you sell them both ways. Is that how it works?
Yes, people can purchase it for their home. And, there's one in Martha's Vineyard and there's several in California. But for the most part, I think people are purchasing them to be of service to others and to put them into a wellness situation, whether it's in an acupuncturist's office, which we have chiropractors, we have nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, MDs. Let's see, we have RNs. So many medical professionals own them, but then we have retired accountants who just still want to be of service and they still want to, do something. And so they just purchase one and they have people come over and to their center and jump inside a large wooden egg. And they're beautiful souls. We call them egg guardians. They're beautiful souls that aren't going to just say, okay, like what's your birth date and what's your insurance number? And here, I'm going to throw you in. They take the time to talk to you and find out what is going on emotionally, physically, environmentally. And then we have protocols and a training manual for what colors would best serve that intention that you want to work on. What sound waves from instruments will best serve that intention to help you to achieve the level of wellness that you wish to achieve. It's really fun. I miss seeing clients. I saw over 20,000 clients at my center. And then I realized I have to get above the whole like seeing people every day and I have to serve my center owners and help them, serve their clients. So we have a private Facebook page, we have owner calls every month, and we just really support this community with love and integrity. And that's the brand attributes: love, integrity, reliability, and community. And that's how I want everybody to be in this community. It's not a franchise model because that's very patriarchal. So I wanted more of the divine feminine cooperative business model. And so my center owners are constantly referring clients to each other, and it's just a really beautiful community.
That sounds so amazing. I love the opportunity that it's there for everyone, for the everyday person or someone that wants to maybe advance their practice, whether they're massage, Reiki, acupuncturist. That's really spectacular. And the heart and soul that you've taken to really think about how you want the community to be, not just business. Not that
Yeah.
business isn't important because it is, but how you define your business is so important and indicative, I feel, of the frequency vibration that you're putting out to attract those that you want to bring in.
Yeah, I felt like it really shouldn't be about money. And anybody that you talk to, they say, oh my gosh, if you just stay of service, the money's just there. And that's what I've noticed as well. I just stay in service. And then I try to stay humble. We all have an ego of some sort, but I also didn't want to be that one that just takes people's money and walks away. And I don't want to be that person at the top who's rich. I want to create abundance for everybody. And money is just energy. So we can exchange the energy of money for sessions in the egg or time. And so I really wanted to create something where people felt like they were in a community that they could have love and abundance, not live in fear and desperation. And then that's why I do these podcasts. So I want the center owners to be abundant. I want people to see this and say, where can I go find an egg center? So then I'm creating abundance for them. So this is what I put my time into. I love doing it. I love supporting people. I love serving people. I love empowering people. I love for people to listen to their bodies and find the root cause of what's going on and take their power back. That's what I love
Mm-hmm.
to do.
Right. I love that explanation that you gave of everything. It's just so incredibly important. And which brings us into, I really want to talk about your documentary, It's Time. Because, I was just rewatching it before our interview. And of course, there was this like, there's so many reasons why today is so divine for us to be meeting. And I feel like it's actually almost a secret therapy session for myself with everything that's going on. But please share a little bit about your documentary, the why behind it, why it's so important for you, and what you hope that viewers walk away with.
I think the main thing I wanted to do, and you see when the movie opens up, well, it's called It's Time because it's time for more kindness, it's time for more love. And everybody kept telling me, it's time for this information, it's time. And I said, I think that's the name of the film, It's Time. And so when you see it opens up and it says judgment is the only thing that separates us. So I wanted people to really key in on that and realize how much we judge not only each other, but ourselves. And so I wanted them to say, okay, we don't need to be separated. We don't need to be separate at all. We just need to receive everybody in the way that they are presenting themselves. And they're on a journey. And we don't know what that journey is. And we don't know what they signed up for. And so judgment is what separates us. And then at the end of the movie, I say it's a challenge. The challenge is if just 10% of people, it's a Muhammad Ali quote, if 10% of people would do something with more love and more kindness and more support of each other, we could really change the world. And so I thought if I can get 1 million people to watch it, so I decided to offer it for free. You can watch it on YouTube, Rumble, or itstime.love. And the option is to watch it for free. I didn't want anybody to say, well, I didn't get the message because I couldn't afford to pay to watch the film. So all those excuses are taken away from people. It is about sound and light therapies. It does talk about how sound and light affects our bodies, but it also talks about our communication. And when I say something to you, and I'll say, Jennifer, like, what does love mean to you? Your definition and my definition are going to be completely different. And other key words, money, manipulation, time, different words are going to mean different things to different people. But when all this communication is coded with emotions, it's hard to communicate with each other. We almost need, like Cynthia says in the movie, a new language in the future to communicate. Maybe it'll be telepathic. Maybe we can communicate from our heart and our heart energy. Because if I meet somebody, I can sometimes feel the heart, even if they're yelling at me about something, just as an example, and I can still feel that heart energy. I can be like, you know what, you're beautiful and I love you. And it takes them off guard, but we don't know. Maybe their son just committed suicide, which my boyfriend's neighbors, her son just committed suicide last week. So we don't know what they're dealing with. And we have to still send them that love. And if we can feel into the communication of their heart, then I think we can have a better world. So I really wanted the documentary to open up people's eyes and their hearts to seeing each other from a soul perspective instead of a physical perspective.
Mm-hmm. I think it does a great job at that. And it's so informative and really, I would say, I love there's power in a pause. It really gives you pause to think about your life as an energetic being, as a frequency. And if our highest frequency is love, and we all came from love and we all gave love, even just for 1 hour a day, imagine the impact our world would have. And
Right.
I feel that so many more people need to understand the power that they have within to be able to step out of what they're told and to get back to who they are, why they're here, and honor what's within.
Yeah, we're all these magical beings. Like the sky's the limit. We can accomplish anything. We have to have some focus and we have to take action. It's not like the secret movie where you just sit on your couch and you say Om and everything's going to come to you. You have to take some action. But I really believe that there's nothing that we can't accomplish.
I would agree. And you certainly have proven it 3 eggs later, which I do want to ask you something about the harmonic egg. Why? Because I feel like this is important. And why the essence of the geometry of an egg versus a tanning bed that's like an oval tube or a circle? Why the egg?
So what came to me was that egg is where life starts, and so we want to take our life back in the shape of an egg. In sacred geometry, I will tell you over the centuries, and that's why my book, Unlocking the Ancient Secrets to Healing, I traveled all over the world, and I feel like energetically I brought back the consciousness of what was in the pyramids in Egypt and what was in the temples in Greece. And I feel like the sacred geometry is such a beautiful thing. The pyramids are still standing. And so many other structures are demolished. They've been demolished by natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, you name it. We have eggs in places that had natural disasters that survived. Now, I can't understand this. We had an egg in Louisville, Colorado, where the Marshall fires happened, and the egg wasn't touched. We have eggs all over Florida. None of them have been damaged by the hurricanes, including Fort Myers and Sarasota. And I don't know that Sarasota got really hit by the hurricane, but we've had flooding in Michigan. The egg survived. Maui, the egg survived the natural disaster there. So to me, there's something going on that the sacred geometry, nature's like, whoop, egg, let's go around that. And there's something magical about that. So that image that came into my head using sacred geometry, the golden ratio, Tesla mathematics, 3 6s and 9s, just like we see in nature. There was something beautiful about that just had to be designed in there. And then I read a lot of Edgar Casey's work, and he said, bring together the spiritual forces of sound, spiritual forces of light to create a modality for the future. And that was in the 1940s, right before he passed away. Then you have Royal Rife with doing frequencies, and you have just so many characters in the past, including the Aborigines using music like the didgeridoo, and you had Native Americans with the drumming and flute. There had to be something that would combine everything and create a modality where people could really get empowered and feel like they were these magical beings, connecting them to their higher power and really owning who they are on this planet, because we are all here for a reason. And I did a podcast yesterday and I said, when did we start revering the president or a CEO? Why aren't we revering the garbage man? Because what if no one was taking out the garbage?
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad taught me as an automotive worker that, he worked on the assembly line, and he said the CEO of the company is no better than the guy that he's working on the line with next to him. And I took that lesson with me throughout my life. And I really never wanted to paint myself as being better or, you know, anything more entitled than anyone else, because everybody's here for a reason. And maybe that person who's a garbage man this lifetime was a president in another lifetime, was like, I don't want to do that again. That sucked. Let me do something that is a little bit less stressful. I just have to pick up trash and clean up the environment and help people get rid of their trash. What if no one was doing that?
It's so special that you've mentioned this because I feel like there's a whole generation of us that were brought up that way, that you should be able to do every job, whether it be in that business, in that corporation, in every which way, shape, or form so that when any individual comes to you, you understand. You have empathy for what they're going through. Whereas that dynamic really, I mean, has been lost for so long now. It's so much I versus we. And I feel like we're really on this cusp of getting back to that, of getting back to a sense of community. And it's so important to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, when I worked in automotive, I had 11 jobs in 9 years there. And I wanted to go to the plant and I wanted to see as an engineer, what is the assembly line person? What are they going through to design these components that we're giving them? And when I got there, it was almost like they'd never seen anybody from corporate before. And they said, we're trying to explain it to the layman audience. A wire harness has these little things called Christmas trees on them, and they pop into the holes so that the wire harness can kind of be in the car without shaking. And they have these jigs, and they were taping the wire harnesses, but they couldn't see the back of the Christmas tree. The only thing that they needed was a mirror on the jig so that they could see that they were getting that Christmas tree wrapped properly. How easy is that? So I went back to corporate. I
Right.
said, they need mirrors on the jigs. And there's like, is that the only reason why the Christmas trees are not being, they're falling off the wire harness? I'm like, yeah, because nobody went there and asked them, what do you need to do your job?
Mm-hmm. What do you
And you're right. We
need?
don't, yeah.
Can you imagine if we just once a day, I always love to try to do something once a day for someone else, even if it's just simply opening a door, smiling at someone. But if we took it one step forward and simply asked someone, what do you need? It's like the next time, like you were talking about someone maybe yelling or going off. And it's sort of at that point, you want to look at that person and be like, what do you need? It's a diffuser. It's a
Yeah.
complete diffuser. And right now, I think people don't even know what they need because they're so spun out in fight or flight. And what they really need is a harmonic egg. I really feel like we all need a harmonic egg. We all need a session. We all need to be in there, which would be so amazing. So tell me, and speaking of this, is there, because you touched on this a little bit, is there a typical protocol for every human being? And then is there a different protocol for maybe like overly sensitive human beings?
So no, absolutely. That's a great question. There is no one size fits all. Every one of us is we're wired differently. Let's just say we all have a different wiring system. Since we were talking about wire harnesses, we're all wired differently. And so, no, the first time you go in, we have about 6 sessions that are what we call autonomic nervous system reboots. When your nervous system is so out of whack, then whatever you have going on in your body thinks that's normal. So until you reset the nervous system, rebalance it, the body doesn't understand there is another normal. So you create a new normal. So that's one of the things. Now, there are sensitive beings. I'm one of them. I go on children's volume, so we have settings for children, for animals. We don't use stimulating light colors for animals or children because it's overstimulating. So the protocols are all set and tried and true. But we do have, you can lower the volume. And for me, I always go in on a lower volume. I don't need, it's like a homeopathic dose for me. The lower the volume, the better. Where people will go in, oh no, crank me up. I'm like, you don't need to be cranked up. More is not better. And cranking somebody up and putting them on a decibel range of over 90 hertz is going to damage their cells and throw them into fight or flight. So we do have specific protocols and training. And yes, there's 40 or so different music selections. I produce the music and then I create song sheets. So when I have this new gift that's happened, I don't know when it happened, but as I'm releasing trauma in the egg, my natural God-given gifts are coming through. So I can listen to a piece of music and tell what colors are coming through. I can feel in what chakra it's going to evoke and help. I can feel in the different organs. So then I put the song sheet together as a general rule, as a foundation for that piece of music. But then, you're going to have that unique individual that comes in and they need blue for their crown chakra when normally you would see it as purple, or they need green for their root chakra. because we are all different. There isn't one size fits all, but we do have a foundation and a base that I give to all the center owners, all the egg guardians, so that they can navigate just about any kind of intention from a client. So it's really fun.
It sounds really fun. And I think that's really important that people understand that this just isn't another thing that someone can purchase. Like, this is really individualized. This is by people who really care about health and wellness and where we're going as a society with alternative therapies and alternative cares. I was perusing your website and I saw the centers all over the place. I saw in a center that you could do a distant session. Is this true? Do
It
tell.
is the
Okay.
strangest thing. It is the strangest thing. I knew that people did remote healing. I knew people did distance healing, and I didn't really buy into it. When the pandemic hit, and there were some of my clients that ended up on respirators in the hospital, and their loved ones called me and said, "Can you put my loved one's picture in the egg?" And I said, "No, I don't think that's going to work." And I did it, and they got off the respirators. 3 people. So 3 for 3. And then I had a chiropractor call me from Florida and said, "I have a little girl. I can't help her. Can you put her picture in the egg?" I said, "I don't think it's going to work." It was 10 o'clock at night. I drove up to the center. I put her picture in there. Before the session even ended, she was having a bowel movement and she was blocked. The mom called me. The chiropractor flew to Denver to meet with me. And so then I started, there's something to this. When I was raised Catholic, and people would send prayers all the time to people. They say, "I'm going to send you a prayer." Well, you're 3,000 miles away. What good is that going to do? But it works. It's intention. It's energy. Everything is energy. So then my horse is 1,200 pounds and she does not fit in the egg. And she ended up with a cyst on her chest. And I thought, well, I'll just put her in the egg, her picture. And within 3 days, the cyst was gone. Now, how does this even work? My engineering mind is still confused, but it works so often and so brilliantly. So I think it's about the energy. We're sending energy to you, and you have energy, and then we're setting an intention. And when 2 or more are gathered with that intention, it amplifies it. I can't say that I completely understand it, but it is working brilliantly, and people all over the world are doing remote sessions. So then I thought, let me do a remote session in the Peru egg. And I felt the land. I did a remote session in the New Zealand egg. I felt the land. So I would encourage anybody, if you want to go on a vacation and there's an egg in that location and you can't afford to go there, you can connect with the land and do a remote session there. I tell you what, the Pachamama, the Peru egg, I was blown away. I had a slight headache even before the session started because it was so intense. And I really felt like the owner there was so loving. And she, with her entire heart and her entire being, she wanted me to experience the land on which her egg sat. And I did. It was so beautiful.
That is oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Now, I have a couple of follow-up questions. One, based on what you said, because you just described the energy was a little intense, you started to feel a little headache prior. Is there protocol for what someone should do before and after a session?
So before, we don't want you to be coming off of another energy modality. So if you had just done acupuncture the night before, please don't come. And please respect your acupuncturist and let it integrate 2 or 3 days, or ask your acupuncturist. Maybe if they use 25 needles, they might tell you give it 5 days to integrate. If they use 7 or 8 needles, give it 2 or 3 days to integrate. We need to respect these energy modalities and these healers that are out there and ask them, how long do I let this integrate? So before, you want to make sure you're not coming off of other energy work, because you could then pile too much on and spin your body out of control, and it might be a bad experience. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. Being hydrated is really the key after you finish the sessions. You are getting a sonic massage. You are detoxing. You are releasing cellular trauma, even if it is emotional. Still, water can flush out the cells for emotions as well. And then just being good to yourself. Don't jump into a stressful situation. Don't go do cardio workout right after. Use that energy for healing. Use it to really to heal. I have bodybuilders that come in and they use the energy for endurance. They're riding their bike 100 miles, they're winning weightlifting championships because they got all this energy. And that's how they choose to use the energy. I try to give myself a couple hours to chill and then a couple days without intense exercise or really crappy foods. So some people will come in and they say, "Oh, I did my egg session and then I went to Taco Bell and I didn't feel well." Like, your body was trying to heal and clean out, and you put Taco Bell in there. There's nothing wrong with having a Taco Bell once in a while. I do because sometimes it tastes really good, but it's not after a session. And so people say, "Oh, okay, I get it." I said, "Your body's rejecting it, and that's why you don't feel well." So
Right.
being hydrated and taking care of yourself after any kind of energy modality, I think is just important.
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating. I'm like, I need to get in an egg. I'm really excited about this. You also, I saw on your site, there's a whole shop section and you have your book and the documentary is there. You also show USBs of music that is within the eggs, and they come in little packs or single packs. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to those. And for the person or for yourself, if you thought, oh my gosh, if there's only one USB that you could get, what would that be?
You're killing me here.
Right?
Because I produced all the music and I love all the music. Gosh, we have the yellow USB. And so, way back when, before the world changed, I was trying to figure out what is the root cause of all disease. And so I would say, okay, Parkinson's, I've noticed that when people come out of the egg, they smell like heavy metals, like you've taken coins and rubbed them in your hands and smelled your hands. So I feel like heavy metals is one reason people have disease. Inflammation, stress, fatty liver. We have an epidemic of fatty livers from people that haven't even touched alcohol. I think the keto diets and a lot of the fat diets and different things like that, stress has caused fatty livers and then autoimmune or immune system issues. So I created a yellow USB with those reasons why people would get disease. So that covers the root causes. Plus, there's one on there called Kids Sanctuary that I created for the autistic community. It's very simple. It's birds, water, and flute. And so I wanted to keep something very simple, very gentle. It's one of my favorites of all time. It's the one I do over and over. It's the one I use for my horse. It's the one I use. My horse accidentally stepped on one of my kittens. It was horrible. And nobody knows how the kitten survived, but I immediately put the kitten's picture in the egg and the kitten made a he fully recovered and they're still best friends. This is how you can see how animals can forgive. I mean, this was the worst sound I've ever heard in my life. I didn't know cats could scream. I thought they just purred and meowed. No, this cat was screaming. It was underneath my horse's hoof. And I pushed my horse back. The cat got out from under it. I thought for sure I was going to have to take it to put it down. And after the egg session, and I did also some like Reiki on him. He sits on the horse's back every morning. I look out the window every morning and he is on the horse's back. They're best friends. And if we can only realize and love each other that way and forgive each other that way, I mean, the cat has every reason in the world to hate this horse forever. But
Totally.
I think the egg session really cleared the trauma. And
Oh,
even I talked to an animal veterinarian and he's like, "How did that cat survive?" I'm like, "I have no idea." He said it had to be the egg. So
had
he's
to have been
looking
the
at
egg.
egg
How
for
many times did you put the kitten's picture in the egg?
just once, 50-minute session, put the
Okay.
cat's picture in the egg. I've heard from different doctors that if you can hit a trauma, like a football player gets hit on the field, and if you can put a football player in the egg after that trauma, the body can release that trauma before it has time to remember, before it has time to sit into the cell memory and create PTSD. So when I got in my car accident, the first thing I did within 6 hours, I knew I had to get in, and this was when I had the light box. But I got hit at 60 miles an hour, T-boned, and most people with that kind of, injury, and I had a near-death experience. I spun around the intersection. Most people have a traumatic brain injury, TBI, or some kind of a physical damage. My body doesn't remember the injury, doesn't remember the accident. That's the only thing that I can say. That's why I don't have permanent damage.
That is amazing. Oh
It's
my
sound
goodness
and light.
gracious.
Sound and
And
light is beautiful.
wow, it is beautiful. And I've been using sound and light therapy and energy healing for years, not in a harmonic egg, which I can't wait to expand upon my experiences. You did touch on something that I'm sure a lot of people would wonder, like myself. What is the difference between a Reiki healing session or an energy session in general and experiencing the harmonic egg, whether that's a distant session or physically being in it?
So if you have a healer that can be neutral, there's really no difference. If you have a human who is riddled with emotional trauma and they work on you, they're probably going to pass that or at least some of that on to you. So you wouldn't want me putting my hands on you. I'm a stellium in Scorpio. I can get up in my stuff, right? And I don't want to ever pass on anything to somebody else that they have to deal with or clear. I have to clear a lot of people's energies that attach to me because I'm an empath. But the egg is consistent and repeatable. It doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't get in a car accident. It doesn't lose its house. It doesn't go bankrupt. It doesn't get divorced. So there's a lot to be said with human healers. They have to be a really special breed of people that they can stay neutral so they're not passing along their energy and their emotions to their clients. So I have had a lot of clients come in and they do a session to clear the energy of the acupuncturist that is going through a divorce and they put their sadness in them, or the massage therapist who's losing her house and she put her financial fear in them, and so they come and clear. I think we're coming into a place of medicine now that we're going to be able to navigate this, and we're going to be able to say to ourselves, is that my energy? No, that's not mine. I'm not having that fear. That's someone else that attached to me. Let me just clear that. And you don't have to stand on your head and drink water upside down. You don't have to do that. It's as simple as just saying clear, clear, clear. And the other exercise that I do is I put myself in a glass box and I just ask that all the energy that I have taken from somebody that doesn't belong to me, that it gets sent back to them lovingly and gently. And that any energies that people have taken from me gets brought back to me lovingly and gently. Because most of us are walking around like Swiss cheese. We got stuff missing, parts missing, we got extra parts, we got all this stuff. And then I just expand my energy into that glass box until I feel like I've now no one else's energy and my energy is back to me. It's just a
Mhm.
beautiful exercise to do every day.
Absolutely, it is. And I have an exercise similar that I do actually in the morning and in the evening because you're busy and people, and sometimes you don't even pay attention and you're not completely aware. And especially right now in our world, I feel like you don't even have to physically bump into someone to absorb energy. And it's especially like people are scrolling so much on the internet or this or that, and the intensity, it's there. So I think that is a great way to explain the difference between the two modalities.
And think about the famous people. It was brought to my attention the other day. It was it was jokingly, but how many people had Farrah Fawcett's poster on their bedroom wall?
Hmm.
That poor lady must have had to clear every 5 minutes.
Right.
All the
Right.
energy that was being sent to her. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to be famous. I want to
Mm-mm.
serve and I want to support people. But there's a fine line. And I think part of the reason the company hasn't expanded to even being more successful is because my unwillingness to make a decision. Do I want to go for it or do I want to kind of keep a low key?
Yeah, that's a really big decision. I love the way that you stated that about Farrah Fawcett. I've never really thought of it that way. But that is, and I guess that's one of the turnoffs. I like to be able to
Absolutely.
service a lot of people. However, also very much appreciate my quiet life.
I've known some pretty famous people and they don't have a fun life. They're always busy. They're always being pulled on. They're always being, you have to be here and you have to be there and you have to go there and you have to serve this and you have to kiss this baby and you have to do this talk and you have to travel here. And I like to run out and go see after this call, I'll go out and see my horse and give her a nice pet and see the kittens and hang out. I don't really want to be that busy, but is there a fine line? Is there a
Hmm.
balance where you can have this, but you can still have this too, right? I don't know.
Well, hopefully, as we move forward in this world of where I hope that we can sort of find that, right? I really do feel that the highlight of celebrityism is beyond tarnished at this point, that it's kind of going away and people are realizing the importance of getting back to the salt of the earth in some
Yeah. Well,
aspects.
if you did notice what you did, the cast of my film, it's not Bruce Lipton, it's not Joe Dispenza, it's not Greg Braden, it's not those guys. Because I felt like that's already saturated. We already know what they have to say. I wanted to find some sage, wise women. So you see Ani Williams and Cynthia Andrews and Penny Kelly and even the writer Sandy Sedgbeer. I mean, sage, wise women to bring a fresh approach to healing. It's not the same thing that you hear every day. It's stated differently. It might
Yep.
be the same concept, but it's stated differently. And I really wanted to bring together Stephen Ross as an older gentleman and his partner Deborah and Susie Miller. And I just wanted this fresh look at where are we going? What's next?
I think you did an excellent job at it. And I felt that everyone there, everything that they said was weighted. I think I have 3 pages of notes, honestly. And I rewinded it a couple of times because I was like, oh, that was such a powerful statement. Every statement was very powerful. Every moment was very educational in it, above and beyond what I anticipated from it. I loved it.
I can't believe you said that. Thank you so much. Because I had 55 edits. There's 20 hours of footage. And I had to find those little golden nuggets, those little diamonds. And I just wanted the whole movie to be like, people would be like, oh, that, yeah, oh, wow, okay, great. And then the cinematography, the guy that I hired to do the filming, I did it on purpose because I love his cinematography and the nature scenes. And we had the eagles on my property. It's kind of behind my property where eagles just had some babies. So they were hanging out. So we were able to do drone footage of them. And then Holly, my horse, I think was the star of the show at
Absolutely.
the end. But just, and then we used Harmonic Egg music and other music as well, but a lot of Harmonic Egg music. So I felt if people finished watching it, they'd be like, you know what? I don't even know if I really understood everything, but I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel blissful. I feel happy. And that's what I really wanted.
Well, I truly think that you achieved above and beyond all of that.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh. Gail, this has been amazing. I feel like I could talk to you forever and ever and ever. And I'd love to order a dozen eggs. Will you let our amazing community know where they can best connect with you and learn more from you?
Well, everything you ever wanted to know about me seems to be on my website, harmonicegg.com. And then now the movie's out, it's time.love or on YouTube and Rumble. But that's pretty much, yeah, where you can find me. And the books out there, we have a children's book that we created for the autistic community that kind of came through magically. And then all the USBs or music downloads with song sheets on how to use the music at home is all on harmonicegg.com.
Thank you so much. Well, as we close out the show today, Gail, is there one last piece of inspiration that you'd like to leave with us?
If I could, I would say I put a license plate on my license plate frame. It says, be kind. So how about that? Be kind.
It's beautiful. Perfect. I love it. As always, all of Gail's information will be over in the show notes at jenniferpilates.com. So you can pop over there, click on all her links, and you too can get your very own harmonic egg. Gail, thank you again. Thank you for everything that you're doing to, I truly feel, revolutionize where we're going for health and wellness and alternative care. What you've done is nothing short of miraculous. And I truly hope that people take us up on your opportunity to watch the documentary and to learn more because truly, I do believe that as we are moving forward, the true health is in light, it is in music, it is in the frequency, and you've already gotten it here for us to be able to try. and even from a distance. So it's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Well, as always, thank you for an incredible day. Thank you for an incredible show, and may you live an empowered life from within.